What's up, bro? It's my Georgia Brand Brooks. You find me on Facebook, subscribe to my YouTube channel so we can chop it up. Real quick, I just wanted to say this and get this off my chest real quick to white folks that's out there that's like to make up history. Let me just get this off my chest real quick because a lot of white people keep saying Anthony Johnson was the first black slave owner. Oh, look, let me say something real quick. White people, we know you have a guilty conscience. We know you have to gaslight black people because you feel ashamed about what your ancestors done. Anthony Johnson was not a slave owner. What happened was, and they don't tell the truth. What happened was back then, they didn't have a court system like that. They didn't even have a jail system like that. If you wronged somebody back then, like if I stole something from you, caused you some type of like financial hardships or something like that, you was in debt to that person. So you would go work for that person no matter how long it was. It was 4 years, 5 years. You worked the debt off till you paid that person. Anthony Johnson, he had a white servant. He had 2 white servants. He had a black servant. At this particular time, this was not slavery because these people were eventually set free. And he did not own, they comparing, this is what they're doing. They comparing slavery to a form of servitude. Those people that were servants to Anthony Johnson were people that worked off debts, and that's what it was back then. White people, they did the same thing to white people. If a white person did something wrong to somebody, that white person was in that other person who they wrong pocket. He went to go work off that person. He had to work off his debts. That's what they did. But they take this situation and say Anthony Johnson was the first slave owner. He wasn't a slave owner at all. They like to make up history. Oh, because Anthony Johnson, the person that was working for him, he did not felt like he didn't his debt was not worked off to his satisfaction. So they went to court eventually. When they did start to have a court system, he tried to sue his servant, and they take this situation and say, "Oh, blacks had slaves too." And it's really just being disingenuous. It's not the same situation. Anthony Johnson wasn't a slave owner. He did not own multiple black people for generations and generations. And it's different because when Europeans, white people own black people, they own your fucking family. They own your generation of family, meaning your kids' kids were born slaves. The whole situation with Anthony Johnson is not the same. But these people fucking lie all the time. They don't tell the truth about anything. Anthony Johnson wasn't a slave owner. And even if he fucking was, white people, you made slavery legal. You made it legal. You ordained it. You made it legal. You made a system of slavery. It was backed by you. So I don't understand. What do you think? This make you less guilty or something? Would this take the blood off your hands or something? No, it doesn't. All this now, their whole thing is now is the black people. What about the African tribes that sold each other? You made a fucking system of slavery for 500 years. We don't want to hear about no Anthony Johnson or what the African tribes done. You made it legal. It was legal because of you. So it does not matter. Stop gaslighting all the time. All this talk about causing division and all this stuff about racism is not going to never go away. It's not going to never go away. You know why? Because white people are not honest. They're not honest. You have to lie all the time. You're lying. You're lying. Anthony Johnson wasn't a slave owner. And even if he fucking was, so fucking what? You created the system. You created a system. It was slavery was ordained by you. You made laws passing it. So why are you telling us Anthony Johnson was a slave owner for? So what? And what? So you make no sense. And every time you talk, you make no sense. You just never make sense. Anthony Johnson wasn't a slave owner. And if he fucking was, so what? So fucking what? You created a whole system of slavery backed by laws. So we don't want to hear, Anthony Johnson was a slave owner. They say stupid shit like, white people say stupid shit like, the Africans sold each other. Bro, y'all didn't stop them from doing it. What makes you less guilty? Europeans was in America maintaining slavery for 500 years. It wasn't Africans. It was not one fucking African in America passing laws to keep black people enslaved. It was Europeans. So this whole thing, it was Africans too. Like, you're just trying to gaslight the situation because you feel guilty. I keep saying this, white people inherently feel guilty about slavery. They feel guilty about it because nothing was never done about it. It's the injustice of it. So they would rather us just either stop talking about it, because talking about slavery is racism to white people. If you bring up anything historical, what they have done, they look at that as a form of racism. And they have to gaslight you for the simple fact that, like, you guys are crazy. You make up history. Like, we're not going to never get fixed racial tensions in America with this disingenuous view of history. Stop saying Anthony Joshua was a slave. Anthony Joshua was a slave owner. I said Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua was a slave owner. No, the fuck he wasn't. Tell the fucking truth. And then for black people back then, you had to become slave owners to get your family out of slavery. That was part of the process. That was actually a scam that they had going on, where a black person that was free, they were getting their loved ones out of slavery. So what are y'all talking about? Just no accountability. Everything is you just somehow, or it was the blacks too. You guys own slaves too. It's not a fucking argument. It's not a defense. That's not a defense. Telling me Anthony Johnson was a slave owner, that's not a fucking defense. Telling me Africans sold each other in Africa, that's not a fucking defense. Because you was in America maintaining it. You was in America maintaining it. You. So we don't want to hear about Anthony Johnson because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So stop telling us Anthony Johnson was the first black slave owner. Black people had slaves too. Oh, that was over 200. Shut the fuck up. Stop fucking lying with your guilty ass mentality. That's fucking white guilt. Oh, the first song. Shut up. Be quiet. Just lying. We heard this shit already. We know you're not telling the truth, and you know you're not telling the truth either. But that's all I got to say about this shit about.